Saul pursues David. 1 Samuel 21 through 23. To escape Saul, David fled to Nob, where Ahimelech, the priest, came out to meet him. Trembling, Ahimelech said, "Why are you alone?" "The king sent me on a secret mission," David said, telling a lie. "Give me 5 loaves of bread, or whatever you have." The priest said, "I have no ordinary bread, only holy bread." "You may have that." Now Doeg the Edomite, a servant of Saul, was there that day. David saw him. David said to Ahimelech, "Is there a spear or sword here? I left in a hurry and didn't bring one with me." Ahimelech said, "Only the sword of Goliath." "I'll take that." At this time, David probably wrote Psalm 34. It tells how God hears the cry of the righteous and helps them out of their troubles. David went to the cave at Adullam. When his brothers and all in his father's house found out where he was, they went to help him. People who were in distress or in debt or just discontented joined David, so that he became a leader of 400 men. The men from the tribe of Gad also joined him. They were mighty, men of valor, trained for war. The least among them was equal to 100 men, and the greatest fought like 1,000 men. A prophet told David to go to Judah. Saul heard about it. Doeg the Edomite told Saul that earlier he had seen Ahimelech, the priest of Nob, help David. Saul sent for the priest, saying, "You helped my enemy." Ahimelech said, "Who among all your servants is as faithful as David? I know nothing of this." Saul said, "You shall die." He told his guards, "Kill the priests of God for helping David. They knew he fled and did not tell me." But the guards would not kill God's priests. So Saul said to Doeg, "You kill them." Then Doeg slew Ahimelech and 84 other priests in Nob. There was only one survivor, Ahimelech's son Abiathar, who escaped to David. David said to Abiathar, "I knew that day when I saw Doeg there that he would tell Saul, 'My lie has caused the death of your father's house. Remain with me where you will be safe.'" David spares Saul's life. 1 Samuel 24. Saul found out that David was living at the stronghold of Engedi. So Saul took an army of 3,000 men and went after him. At Engedi, there was a large cave in the rocks, and David and his men hid there. Saul came into the cave, not knowing anyone was inside it, and sat down in the entrance to rest. David's men said, "Look, God has given your enemy into your hand." So David crept up to Saul and cut off part of his robe. Then David said, "I shouldn't have done that. Saul was anointed king by God." So David stopped his men from harming Saul. David waited until Saul left the cave. Then David called out, "My lord, the king!" When Saul looked back, David bowed to him and said, "Why do you listen to men who say I will harm you? God gave you to me in the cave. I could have killed you, but I will not harm you, for you are God's anointed. Look, here is part of your robe which I cut off, sparing your life. I have not sinned against you, and will not, though you hunt me. May God judge between us and deliver me out of your hand." Then Saul said, "David, is that you? You are more righteous than I am, for no one lets his enemy escape. I know God will give you the kingdom, so please do not kill me or my family." And Saul took his army and went home. David and Abigail, 1 Samuel 25. Samuel died, and all Israel mourned. A very rich man of Maon, named Nabal, was shearing his sheep in Carmel. David heard about it and sent 10 young men to him. The men said to Nabal, "Good health to you. We are from David. While we have been in your area, we have protected your shepherds and sheep, so that nothing is missing. Therefore, please give your servants and David whatsoever you wish as a reward." They were right to ask this. But Nabal said, "Who is David? I'm not going to give him a thing." David's men returned to him and told him what Nabal had said. Enraged, David took his sword, gathered 400 men, and started out. David said, "It was foolish of me to watch over Nabal's men and flock. He has paid me back evil for good, so I will kill him and his men." In the meantime, one of Nabal's men went to Nabal's wife Abigail, saying, "David sent some young men to us to bless our master, and Nabal yelled at them and was very rude. But these men were very good to us while we were in the fields keeping the sheep. They protected us day and night so that our flock was safe. Now what shall we do? For evil will come, and Nabal is such a worthless man, no one can speak to him." Then Abigail hurriedly gathered 200 loaves of bread, 5 butchered sheep, and other food, and put them on donkeys. She sent the food ahead of her and followed on a donkey. When Abigail met David, she dismounted and bowed to the ground, saying, "Please hear me. Take no regard for Nabal. His name means fool, and he is foolish. Instead, blame me, as I did not see the young men you sent. May this gift of food, which I bring to you, be given to your men. You will one day be king over Israel, and you do not want the guilt of innocent blood on your hands." David said, "As God lives, you have kept me from sinning, for I was ready to take vengeance with my own hand." David took what she had brought and returned to his camp, and Abigail went back to Nabal. Nabal held a great feast, like the feast of a king, and became very drunk. Abigail waited until the next morning to tell him what had happened. When he heard it, his heart died within him, and he became like stone. 10 days later, God struck Nabal dead. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he blessed God. David asked Abigail to marry him, and she did. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel for a wife.